All right.
Okay. Are we? Do we have Lydia?
Yes, you just talked.
I know. Where is she?
I was
Right
just
here.
there. She
There
is.
you are.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I was
It's
thinking
like
the
magic.
same thing.
It's like magic.
Didn't he just hear her and talk to her?
Yeah, I hear her, but where is she?
Exactly.
other-
I guess I
It's the
didn't
other
have my
Lydia.
accent. He
Where's
missed
that coming
the
from?
accent.
It's the
It's
other
like-
Lydia.
It's like watching Elf when he hears people with a loudspeaker and he freaks out. Love that movie.
That's a great movie.
Oh, I know.
Mayor, we are live on 21 on YouTube.
Right now.
Okay, very good. Okay, all right. Well, welcome everybody to the Federal Way City Council meeting of the first of the year for January 5th of 2021. It's going to take a little while to get used to saying 2021, but let's practice that when we stand up to read the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Pledge
I
allegiance
pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
to the
to the
flag
flag of the United States
The
of America,
United States of America.
and to the republic
and to the republic
And to the
Republic.
Republic
for which it stands,
for which it
stands,
which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
one nation,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under
under
God,
God,
under God,
indivisible,
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 with liberty and justice for all.
liberty
Liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
All right. Wow, we're getting good at that, you guys. Take the show on the road. All right. So, our first item we'll have to reschedule, but our representatives from the AWC could not make it tonight. They send their regrets. We'll move right into the mayor's emerging issues and report. As you all, oh, my God, what's wrong with me? I even got it written down on my agenda. Council President Honda. I even said it before we got started. Short-term memory loss.
I would like to add an item under council business called discussion regarding working with other South King County cities on housing action plans.
And I'll second that.
All right, there's been a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adding the agenda item?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, and we'll add that to business. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, we just talked about that. It's literally on my agenda. So
No problem.
I got so wrapped up in doing the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. So, Mayor's Emerging Issues and Report, Eyes on Federal Way app. We launched on December 15th. At this stage, Thomas, you gave me an email report the other day. How many things have we had reported, and what's the status of Eyes on Federal Way?
Well, Mayor, good evening, Council President, Council members. So far, the status is going strong. We've been getting lots of requests coming in. I'm actually going to bring it up right now and give you an exact number. But I was able to meet with Council members Baruso, Council Member President Honda, Council Member Kochmar, Moore, and Kraft, and get them all up and updated on this app and how to use it, kind of what the features are, kind of in and out of everything. And currently we have 215 issues that are fixed at all time since December 15th.
Wow.
And we've got quite a few more that are already existing open. But people are using it. Both our staff are taking calls and putting them in the system, as well as a lot of app usage as well. So far so good. And like we discussed before, my plan is to do a kind of much more full deep dive on the program, kind of a little bit more on the back end to show a little bit more of the trends, things, the categories that are a little bit more popular than others, and kind of some of the reporting that we can see on the back end, so that way we can show council kind of what this is doing, not only for the city staff but for the citizens.
Fantastic. That's who it's for. That's for everybody here to make sure that we're cleaning up the trash and the shopping carts and all that. So we're going to continue to, this may just be like a regular item, just like it will be on our management team agenda every Monday during these meetings. Have an opportunity to maybe give some highlights about successes of the Eyes on Federal Way app. So thank you so much for your support, Council, to make sure that we could fully launch that and follow through with it. So really exciting. And people are really I have to tell you, I think the investment that the council made on the truck and the litter picker uppers and all of that. To think about two of those, that truck being filled up twice a day of garbage all over the city. Just think about if we were not doing that, and then just think about the cumulative effect that this will have. We'll have a much cleaner city, and people are really going to feel better about their community. So that's great. Thank you. Okay, and thank you, Thomas, and your entire team, and everybody responding with EJ and Parks and Public Works and community development. Okay, COVID-19 vaccine update. Emergency Manager Ray Gross to talk about where we're at with the COVID-19.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Council members. Tonight I'm going to briefly discuss the COVID-19 vaccine updates. And hopefully I can share my screen here.
It's thinking.
Ray, if that doesn't pull up, I can pull it up for you, and you can just narrate and just tell me next slide.
Let's do that.
Okay. Go ahead and stop sharing, Ray. Okay, I will pull up. It's the coronavirus vaccine update. Okay, let me pull it up here and share my screen now. Okay, Ray, take it away and just let me know when you want to advance the slide. Ray? I'm checking to see if he is still on the meeting. No, he is, something must have happened. He is no longer on the meeting right now.
Okay, why don't we do this? Can you call him, and maybe we'll go to the next item?
Yeah, let me do that, Mayor. I'll get a hold of Ray, and I'll let you know in your office as soon as we got something worked out.
Very good. Okay, let's move on to the next item because we've got two other items. Oh, actually, Ray's on the line. You want to? Hold on, everybody.
It's the first meeting of the year.
That's right.
Last night, I kept forgetting to have my mic near my mouth, so at LUTC, so.
Mayor Ray,
Bring it as an
a lot of money.
ornament. Yeah, it was a hairpiece.
I don't see him logged back in yet. He said he is in the process of doing that. Mayor, if you want to just go to the next item, and then once we get set up with him.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, EJ, Public Works Director, you want to talk about the Paint the Plow recap?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor, Council President, members of Council. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully, are you seeing that?
We are, yes.
Good. So we started a new program this year in conjunction with the Boys and Girls Club called Paint the Plow. So the theme for this year was Only Rain Down the Drain, which is fitting for tonight, but that was developed in conjunction with their leadership. We had proposed a bunch of different options from surface water, which is obviously what was chosen, as well as traffic safety, as well as, look before you cross, don't text and drive, and a bunch of other themes. And the leadership from the Boys and Girls Club went out to the students of both the teen center and the elementary center and basically asked them what they would be interested in learning about. And they picked stormwater. So we put together an education program. We had staff remotely present to both the elementary and the teens clubs on stormwater and the importance of it, and a little education program. And then the students did the rest. So this year's theme was Only Rain Down the Drain. So after we did the education component to it, the students developed artwork, and the one on the left is from the elementary Boys and Girls Club, and the ones on the right are the submissions from the teen Boys and Girls Club. With them doing the artwork, and then they collaboratively worked together on each center to develop one theme for one plow. So we provided one plow to both locations, and the students then painted the artwork that they had developed onto the plow itself. So after that, the mayor provided thank you letters to each of the artists. We did provide a press release about the event. And the part that's exciting to me is we are actually going to use these plows throughout this winter. So if you've seen the salt trucks out already, we've already been running them. So, the goal of this is both to provide an educational component to the Boys and Girls Club, to partner with a local nonprofit, but it's also to put a smile on the community's faces as they see them driving around the city. So the goal for next year will be to expand it. The Boys and Girls Club have already talked to us about the availability of having additional plows so they can actually get more groups of students involved, which is great from my perspective. I'm thrilled that was the feedback that we got. The other goal and that we had for this year, and unfortunately with COVID, you'll see there's no city staff in any of these pictures, and there's no, we couldn't do something with council or the mayor being present. The goal for next year is hopefully we are through COVID and we can have a little bit of a students presenting the plows back to the city. Where it can be a little bit of a appreciation event that we can invite council, the mayor, and others to, and actually go out to, these are big. They're not, obviously, we're not going to bring these into chambers, but we can go out to the Boys and Girls Club and they can tell us about the artwork that they did, and just kind of a great connection to the community. So this is the first picture was the one from the elementary center, and then this is the final picture from the one for the teen center. So like I said, we've been out running these all winter. 2 of the 6 plows are painted, so it's a little bit of an Easter egg hunt trying to find the ones that are painted throughout the city. And this is their theme. You can see they all sign their names in the bottom left corner, and it's all their theme that they developed. The teen center was all about protecting the stormwater because Federal Way is directly connected to the sound, and making sure the octopus and the salmon and the whales all stay healthy. So it was a great program. I'm excited that we managed to get it kicked off this year, and I look forward to seeing it expand next year. I am happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Brusso.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. EJ looks great. I just had a question. Is that paint, so the painter that's being used, how easy is that to come off the plows? Or it isn't? Or how is that put on?
So it's environmentally friendly paint. It is tempera water-based paint. And then we actually applied, we city staff applied a clear wearing coat over it to protect it a little bit since it is tempera. But the idea is everything is water soluble and environmentally friendly. So the concept is it will actually fade over the course if we have a lot of snow this winter. And if we don't have a lot of snow, it will not take us very long with a power washer to take it off. But the goal is that we will continue to reuse the same plows. So we will effectively blast whatever's left of this paint off and give the plow right back to the Boys and Girls Club to have them paint next year's theme.
Okay. Is there any thought about painting is it salt trucks only? So that the dump itself on the sides, is there any thought about having the kids try to put some kind of design on both sides of that at all, or just wondering?
No, we haven't talked about that. We can certainly look into that. I would have to see how we could facilitate it. They're not flat dump trucks.
No.
They've got all sorts of
Right.
running boards and everything. So we'd have to find a way to mount something to it. We can certainly look into it. The students really liked planing plows because it's very tangible. So we have more plows. I'm inclined to expand this until we use all the plows up first.
Okay. Thanks. Great job.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, EJ. Great work.
Thank you.
Okay. I believe now we've got Ray back. Ray?
Hello, Mayor. Technology bites me again. All right, so I'm going to briefly go over the vaccines, COVID-19. Next, Thomas. So these here are from the CDC COVID data tracker. It's a pretty nifty tool, and it shows the number of vaccine doses that have been distributed throughout the country. And then they have a map of the United States. You just highlight the state you want, and then it'll break out the number that have been distributed to the state, as well as the number that have been administered. If you notice, Washington State has a good amount of doses here in state, with maybe, just a little over 90,000 that have been distributed. This is from yesterday. So today there could be a significant update. And the governor today kind of explained why some of the numbers look like Washington is behind. And it's a data entry lag. He went over 4 hospital systems. They're ranging anywhere from 90% down to 67% of having administered their doses out. So one little interesting piece of information is the CHI Franciscan, they've given or administered 70% of their inventory of the COVID-19 vaccines. Next slide, please. All right, so in the United States, there are presently 2 vaccines, one Pfizer and one Moderna. The Pfizer one arrived in Washington State December 14th. Pfizer's vaccine is a mRNA type vaccine. It requires 2 doses, about 21 days apart. And that one is to be administered to 16 years old or older. It's about 95% effective if both doses are administered. Moderna is also a mRNA type vaccine, requires 2 doses, about 28 days apart. And there's a third one, AstraZeneca. It's still waiting to finish its final trial, but it has been approved for the UK, and the AstraZeneca vaccine is definitely proven to be effective to the latest strain of COVID-19. With that, there are, as far as what Department of Health has determined, they've broken up how to distribute these vaccines into 4 phases. We're currently in phase 1A, and I'll talk about that a little more in this next slide. But if things go as they currently are, the pace that they're at, we're looking at early February before phase 1A is complete. There's a common question about cost. Public Health, King County Public Health, and Washington State Department of Health plan on doing, once supplies are stable, plan on doing large free clinics. But if you go to a healthcare provider, there could possibly be a office visit fee, but most insurances should cover that. And lastly, there are some other common concerns that have been in the news about these vaccines. One is the reactions, and they heavily suggest if you have known allergies, either food, latex, or medical drug allergies, to definitely consult your healthcare provider before you get any one of the vaccines currently. Another concern about these vaccines are how long the protection lasts. It's just unknown presently. If you had COVID-19, they say you're immune anywhere from 4 to 8 months. So that should give us a little bit of a window of how good these vaccines might last. And then lastly, there's a lot of discussion, just due to the time that this is taking, about maybe reducing the vaccine doses from 2 to 1. Currently, the Washington Secretary of Health is against that. He prefers to stick with what went through the trials, that being 2 doses of whatever vaccine you take. That way you receive either the 94 or 95% effectiveness. They are considering dropping to 1 dose, but as of right now, they're sticking with 2 doses. With phase 1A, there are various locations for this group. This group mainly consists of now all healthcare workers, what they call high-risk first responders, particularly paramedics and EMS, and staff and members in long-term care facilities. So the locations that group 1A, can receive vaccines are public health clinics, long-term care facilities, hospitals, and they tried high volume sites, but that ran out of funding, as well as they can't really do the high volume sites until they have a more stable supply chain. It's very hard to administer vaccines when you don't exactly know how many you might have. Eventually, as these phases progress, they're going to open up more and more providers. QFC is one of them, healthcare providers, other pharmacies. Eventually, their plan is to get to the point wherever you can get a flu shot, they will also have a COVID-19 vaccine. Also, within the last 5 days, I believe, they've started the second round of vaccinations. So those who are needing their second dose are starting that. So that's going to cause a little bit more of a delay in the current process. And next slide, please. So this is currently the various phases, where phase 1 has 3 parts, phase 1A through 1C. This is going to be updated, and updates probably going to be tomorrow or the next day. Initially, they wanted it as just high risk healthcare workers. They've now expanded that to all healthcare workers. And I'm assuming that all of these phases are going to get adjusted to speed the flow of getting people vaccinated. Phase 4 is pretty much anybody who wants a vaccine is able to get it. And if projections stay as is, we're looking at late June, early July of this year. But again, this slide here is only their phases are going to get updated sometime this week. Another little thing that their Department of Health was going to come out with is something called a phase finder. So on the COVID webpage at the Department of Health, this phase finder, you'll be able to put some information into it, and it will tell you what phase that you're in, when and where you can get your vaccine. So that's going to be pretty nifty. I think they're going to also do a vaccine locator. So in the event that the phase finder doesn't tell you a location, the vaccine location finder will. Next slide, please. So this part here, and I just found this out today during the governor's press conference, the federal government contracted directly with Walgreens and CVS to do the vaccinations for the long-term care facilities. This slide here came out of a public health briefing last week. It just gives you an idea of the work that's going to go into vaccinating this population. This population is 1A, and they're looking at having the skilled nursing segment completed within 3 weeks. So they started this week in that area. They're probably doing the other areas, but within 3 weeks, the skilled nursing group will be done if everything stays as is today. Next slide, please. So this slide here just kind of gives you a brief update of what Federal Way is looking like as far as COVID-19 cases. So these numbers are from January 4th, and it just goes into total positives since they started tracking COVID cases. And again, this is just for the city of Federal Way, total hospitalizations and total deaths. The news since yesterday is meaning Monday. And Monday was a pretty good day for us. And they're continually updating these numbers only because since late November, the labs have been pretty much overwhelmed. So there's been a lot of duplications and other data entry problems. So I want to say the last week or so, they've been doing a lot of adjustments. And for the past 14 days is probably the most accurate information. And that's where we're sitting. For those who watched the governor's media today, they're coming out with stay healthy Washington requirements. So the 8 indicators that King County was following, they're going to go away. There's going to be four measurements, and that'll be assessed every Friday. If the region meets these 4 requirements on that Friday, on Monday they can move to phase 2. So that's pretty much where we stand right now. Auburn, City of Kent, and the City of Federal Way, and the south end of King County has been a hot spot since early November. But we're all moving in a good direction now. Mayor, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you. And this mirrors exactly what I've been hearing from this earlier today. SCA leadership, Sound Cities Association leadership, met with Dr. Patty Hayes, the director of King County Public Health, and we're talking about vaccine rollout and challenges and how things are going to be going in the future. So, and then tomorrow I'll be in a conference call with SCA leadership with the governor's office, if anything comes up of note that is new or addition to what we learned about today in the press conference, we'll certainly pass that along. Council President Honda, did you have a question or comment?
I do. I have 3 questions. My first question is, are the nursing homes and long-term care facilities in Federal Way, do they have the vaccine and have they started immunizations at this point?
Ray?
I know several assisted living facilities have. I have not checked with the other 7 large ones. I will do that tomorrow and get back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the delay in getting the vaccinations, is it due to lack of staff that can give the vaccinations, or what is the I don't understand why it's taking as long as it's taking.
Yeah. What I heard in the this morning's phone call with public health, verification is a big part of it. Some of them are just unsure of their supply line, so they don't want to use everything up. But starting from the producer down, delivery from the federal government to the states, that has been very spotty. Take California and Alabama are probably the 2 best cases. California lost an entire shipment due to the delivery being 2 degrees above the minimum threshold. So that entire delivery was had to be disposed of. For Washington State, I want to say the largest impact that's causing a delay is, I believe, in week 2. We lost 40% of the expected delivery, and I don't think Washington State has recovered from that. But at the site of the vaccinations, the only thing I've really heard is the verification of the people.
It also takes a little bit longer per shot is, and Council President Hunt, I'm sure you're going to be well aware of this, is that there has to be a 15-minute period in which people remain in the area in case they have a certain anaphylactic reaction. And you can imagine that they're telling people that they need to be close, either in a car or, the protocol and the standard of care is to make sure that there's a 15-minute waiting period so they don't leave the site. And in this time of COVID restrictions, that does create, somewhat of a challenge, especially when we're all trying to socially distance. So that's one of the things that Dr. Hayes was discussing today. So yes, it does sound like there have been, some supply chain issues that they're working on, but we're doing everything we can to assist, and we'll continue to do so, including updating the council about this. You had 3 questions. Was there one more?
Yes, actually, I have 2 more because I added one to that. I'll ask you both at the same time. How are our daycares and our private schools doing here in Federal Way, or even King County, if you know? Have they had any cases of COVID among the children or the staff? Have any had to close down? And secondly, with the new strain of COVID that has, started in England and has not spread to a few other countries, how do they do? Are the symptoms different, or how do they know if you have COVID or the new strain of COVID?
That's a great question. Ray, do you want to take a stab at that?
Okay, I'll take the COVID strain first. The biggest difference with this variant is the actual crowns on the virus have mutated a bit, and that's how they're able to detect the difference between the new strain and the old strain. The Secretary of Health today said that in their testing, they are looking for that. They have not found any cases at present of the new strain in Washington State, but he was saying that it's just a matter of time before it is here. The new strain is pretty much the dominant strain in the UK now, and that was just a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. The other question about the daycare, I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't have a point of contact for the daycare systems, and nor do I know anywhere to find information solely on daycares. But I will look into that and get back to you.
You know, actually, we have Council President Honda, Council, and Ray. Ray, we've got a great point of contact with our with all of our daycare centers. Remember, we assisted each one of those with CARES Act money. Can you work with both Pam and Tim tomorrow and send out an inquiry to our daycare providers about inquiring in that the council the council administration specifically wanted to check in with them and ask this question?
Will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
We've got, Council President, we've got that information readily available in regard to contact. So we'll get that out tomorrow. And what I have heard, just by way of reading, and I don't know if you've read this as well, is that the new strain, while much more infectious, it doesn't provide more of a threat. But you being the nurse, you would probably have you've probably heard more about that.
I'm probably reading the same things that you're reading, but I have heard that, and that's good. You know, it's unfortunate it's more easily spread.
Right.
But I'm glad that it's not more dangerous.
Well, we're gonna follow up. That's a great question. We're gonna follow up with our daycare providers, see where we're at. We'll continue to provide information as we get it. One of the things that all of the cities, when we're talking to Patty, Dr. Hayes today, is just making sure that we're doing everything we can to assist them and their mission, and we'll do that. So we'll keep you up to date. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Now, just the last item in regard to my report.
Mayor?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I do have a question for Ray.
Please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Ray, thank you for your report. I do have a question in regard to something you mentioned earlier about the verification. Can you explain to us what type of verification that they need to do?
Yes, sir. So it's just verifying that they are a high-risk first responder. So not just a firefighter, but they're EMS or paramedic. With healthcare, it was a high-risk healthcare worker. A couple days ago, they expanded that to any healthcare worker. The high-risk ones still are first, but at the end of the day, if they still have vaccines, they can give it to any healthcare worker. So that's a big part of the delay in things.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you. And actually, I see Councilmember Kochmar has asked a question as well. Councilmember Kochmar?
Thank you, Mayor. When you talk to Patty Hayes tomorrow, would you ask her a couple of questions, one of which on December 26th, Dr. listed 9 different ways that who may have had, a lot of people may have had COVID and different symptoms weren't that impacted. However, apparently there are different lingering things that happen after you've had COVID. For example, shortness of breath, or for example, I think another one was fatigue, feeling tired. So would you ask her if that is true, if there are lingering effects, and would those also linger from having the COVID vaccinations? Just out of curiosity. I think it'd be good
You bet.
to know.
I will. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Now, Council, actually, you're going to hear more about it. The Council, the community is going to hear more. But I just want to alert everybody that we will be having a Martin Luther King Jr. virtual celebration this year. I'd like to thank, all the students and our staff, Jerry Lynn, who's helping to coordinate that MLK Jr. virtual celebration, which will be on Monday, January 18th at 11 a.m. And since it will be virtual, it'll be available after that. But you'll be hearing more about that. We'll get word out through our various sources and social media. But as you all know, MLK on Monday the 18th is a national holiday, and we'll be having that virtual celebration at 11 a.m. On that day. Okay, now time for the council committee reports. Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee. The council member, Kochmar.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Our next January 12th at 5 p.m. That's next day. And there's some interesting things that were on the agenda. There's a Veteran Advisory Committee proposal to honor veterans and their families, and it's being funded by King County Veterans Programs. We're going to talk about a landscape structure retainage release, call electrical services contract amendment, lease agreement. This may be a little more interesting between the city of Federway and the police department for a downtown substation. Humane Society for Tacoma and Pierce County agreement for shelter services for our animals, and then a police services agreement with the common malls. Some of them are pretty interesting. Some of our folks. We'll be talking about traffic safety cameras, and then we'll be talking about 2 new contracts with the King County Jail, the other one with the Issaquah City Jail. And then I asked at the request of Pastor at my Pastor Father Tom Vandenberg, if we wouldn't, some kind of a clearinghouse, folks donate money to neighbors in need. For example, Future Sun Energy has a way for people to donate to a needy fund. People who are in need right now have never been in need before. It's tragic. But he's concerned about people in the community to donate on our website where people would know. For example, Lake Haven has I used to sit on the committee where to, if people couldn't pay their water bill. And so where to go if they want to people who need, and so it would be something that we would really necessarily be dealing with, but more of a clearinghouse so people would know where to go, and we could advertise, go to this site on our website, and this will tell you if you want to donate something to help people with a bill or their local bill or whatever, and then they feel that they are donating to their neighbors who are in our city. And so we're going to talk about that. That's to the agenda on January 12th. So if you have any ideas, chime in. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Land Use and Transportation Committee, Councilmember Baruso.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our meeting, we met yesterday, our first committee meeting, Land Use Transportation Committee, last night. We have 5 items we'll be bringing to the next meeting. One more interesting ones would be the 2021 Planning Commission work program. So that's coming up. I feel kind of bad because most of our agenda tonight has a lot of our items that we cleaned up. So consent agenda from B to H. I have one item A on council business and all 3 ordinances tonight. So I kind of took up the agenda, but appreciate it. Our next meeting will be February 1st and at 5 o'clock, and it probably be Zoom again. I kind of figure, so we'll be there again. So that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, great. Finance, Economic Development, Regional Affairs Committee, otherwise known as FEDREC, Councilmember Tran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did not have a meeting in December, but our next meeting is going to be on January 26th on Zoom again. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. I think it took longer to read the title than it did to get the report, but anyway, thank you. But we're looking forward to good things this year. And actually, isn't it good to have that budget behind us? You guys, what a great job you did on that budget. It's really good to hear. We got an email from Ade today. I think everybody got that, about some good news that we got from sales, real estate sales, adding to our real estate excise tax funds. So at some point we'll maybe next meeting we'll have a day talk about the incoming money on that and some of the plans that we can long-term planning that we can do with that. Okay. Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Council Member Asefa Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, my report today is going to be a little bit longer than usual. So we're starting the year off with many exciting activities and opportunities. And first and most importantly, our next meeting will be Wednesday, January 13th at 10 a.m. and it's going to be via Zoom. And meanwhile, the committee has been very busy with a variety of reports and preparations for upcoming events. And this is really with the support and leadership of Tim Johnson, who I definitely want to acknowledge. There's several articles or productions that are coming out. And so I'm going to show you the covers of these while I speak, if I can do it. There it is. Maybe. It's not going to work.
There it is.
All right. I tried. Can you see it? Nope. Oh, I'm sorry.
Put it closer to you. That's it.
To me?
Oh, my
Why
goodness.
is it
there
weird?
it is. Right there. Right there.
Okay, so the first one is, I'm sorry, it is called the Operation FWVX, and it's for Federal Way Visitor Experience. And this report identifies existing services and tools such as the use of wayfinding signs, street banners, visitor websites, social media, digital signboards, use of Channel 21 tourism enhancement grants, illustrating their use and corresponding costs and timelines for deployment per event. It also examines use of voluntary services, telecommunications, increased use of regional community calendars, and traditional media. It also provides policy framework for the city related to the continued use of these existing services and tools, along with recommendations incorporating additional services and tools in achieving a consistent level of service to enhance the visitor experience. The committee is reviewing the document to direct a constant and consistent response to hosting events, such as the annual and future major events like the NCAA National Swimming and Diving events in March. Also, although in a beta testing, city staff has completed an online version for the Hospitality, Education, and Tourism training program. Can you see it? I don't know how to make it work. There.
Right there. Yeah, right there.
This is so challenging.
There we go. Right.
Okay, there.
It's invisible.
Councilmember Asefa Dawson, if you turn your background off, so if you go to the top right of the iPad screen, go to More, and then go to Virtual Background, and then choose
remove
None at the bottom. Yep.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, there you go. And so this one is the Hospitality, Education, and Tourism Training Program, and it's for frontline employees at hotels, restaurants, and tourism venues to enhance the visitor experience. When the website goes live, it will provide the first online tourism training program in the Puget Sound. We would also like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for their assistance with the effort as it began with face-to-face training 2 years ago. However, given COVID-19, the ability to pivot and go online was the only option, and now makes this activity one of the most unique local hospitality and tourism education programs in the state. And we also want to make note that we're not providing the website yet, but we're still in beta testing. However, it will be released later in the month, and Tim promises the council and community up to date. Also, the Washington State University School of Hospitality and Tourism has provided their report on the first phase of 2 of their analysis on off-season opportunities for Federal Way. This report provides short and long-term recommendations to enhance tourism in Federal Way. Tim will schedule a presentation before the council later this spring on their findings and recommendations. Additionally, the Seattle Sports Commission has completed their draft for us in the commissioned report utilizing King County COVID-19 grant that the City Council approved to examine the return of amateur and youth sports in a post-pandemic Federal Way. It's an extensive report. We just received it last week, so City staff is in the midst of reviewing it to ascertain opportunities to ensure a safe return to local athletics. We also want to personally thank our professional sports franchises in the region that supported this effort by providing their expertise. Lastly, we're prepared to host again the following events, which are still pending. It's the Northwest Conference Collegiate Men's and Women's Swimming Championships, February 11th through the 14th. The Pac-12 Men's and Women's Swimming Championships starting February 24th into the first week of March, and the NCAA National Swimming and Diving Championships beginning March 17th. Again, I want to take this opportunity to thank Tim for the heavy lifting that he's done with this work, without whom this would not have been possible. And so, Tim, really thank you very much. So again, I want to say that our next meeting is on Wednesday, January the 13th at 10 p.m. and it's going to be on Zoom. And that concludes my report. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Great job. Thank you for all your work. And thank you to Tim Johnson, who actually happens to be celebrating a birthday today. Let's give Tim Johnson a very big round of applause and a happy birthday. And the hardest working person in government, it's only appropriate that he'd be at a city council meeting on his birthday. So thank you, Tim, for all you do. And thank you, Councilmember Assefa Dawson.
Thank you.
Represents a lot of work there. And so we very much appreciate it. Okay, our Regional Affairs Committee report with the pick, and that is Councilmember Moore.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. A very happy birthday to Mr. Johnson, Federway's most favorite and beloved person. Anyways, happy birthday, Mr. Johnson. The next, I was not able to attend the last meeting on December 9th, but the next PIC meeting will be on January 13th at 7 p.m. Council President Honda, I wasn't sure if you had a chance to attend or not, so maybe you can kind of shed some light on some of the items. But before we get to that, I know that at the legislative agenda, that was part of the discussions. And as with any cities, obviously there's going to be a great push to advocate for race and equity and social justice type policies. Additionally, there's going to be a push to preserve local decision-making authorities. That's a very pivotal time for local governments to make their own decision that works best for their communities. And obviously to protect the social safety nets. And obviously another item, as is important with others, is promoting economic recoveries for each cities in King County, housing stability, and law enforcement reform. Obviously are some of the items that will be on the table of discussions and support from SEA from the PIC to the legislature. So with that, I will end that report and I will give it back to you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, Council President Honda, your report.
Thank you. I did attend the PIC meeting last month, and most of the meeting was devoted to the legislative agenda and speaking about that. So I would encourage council members, if you have the ability to spend a couple of hours on a Wednesday to attend PIC, you won't be able to talk except in the very beginning as a guest, because they only allow our representative to speak. But it's a good way to see who the other council members are in the region and to hear what other cities are doing. So it would be a good use of 2 hours, and it doesn't, it starts at 7, it is over at 9, period. It doesn't linger. So Deanna runs a very tight ship. You start on time and you end on time or earlier. So I would encourage you to attend if you can. I just lost it. I talked with the mayor today about this issue, and he said that I would be okay to talk about it. The Presidential Inaugural Committee is doing a COVID memorial on Tuesday, January 19th. It will be 5:30 Eastern Time, p.m. Eastern Time, which is 2:30 our time. And what it is, it's a ceremony that is going in Washington, D.C., and it will feature lighting around the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. And it is to memorialize the Americans who have lost their lives to COVID. But they are inviting cities and towns around the country to join at 5:30 their time, 2:30 our time, and light up your buildings, and to encourage your churches to ring bells if they have bells in their churches to ring. I don't know if we have any churches that have bells, maybe a couple. Or I've had citizens tell me that they will be standing in their yards ringing a bell. So it is to recognize and memorialize those who have died from COVID. And I think it's a pretty, I was going to say nice, but it's awful that people have died. So, but it's something that we could all participate in. At, being 2:30 in the afternoon for us, lighting up our buildings isn't going to do much, but we could participate by ringing a bell. So,
and thank you for bringing that up. And I was trying to get Bill's attention. I don't think he knew what this is. Bill's going to help us out with this and coordinate it from a city standpoint. We'll reach out to the churches. We've got contact information. He'll coordinate with Pam and reach out. 300, as you know, as we all know, have heard, we've now crossed the 350,000 person mark of people that have of Americans that have lost their lives as a result of this. It's just horrible. So I think this is an excellent idea. Thank you for bringing it up. And we'll communicate with the council and the community about ways that we could just lock up arms and we'll all make a memorial on that date and time. Okay. January 19th, 2:30 p.m. our time. We'll work with the Mirror. We'll work with social media and our local churches.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to talk about Coffee with Council. So we haven't done that since the pandemic started because we really haven't had a way, to do it other than Zoom. But we will be doing Coffee with Council on Wednesday, January 20th. We started doing this about a year ago, where we had at City Hall meetings where we would take a topic such as sound transit or senior citizen issues, invite the public to come in, do a presentation, and then answer questions. This Coffee with Council will be about how to be a council member, and the fact that this year we have council positions open, the mayor's seat is open, school board has seats open, Lake Haven commissioners, and the fire commissioners. It's the local races. Also, King County Council has seats open, or our representative would be up for election or re-election. And oftentimes we're asked questions about, what does a council member do? What are the requirements to be a council member? This will not be any campaigning. It'll just be simply giving information and encouraging people, if they're the least bit interested, to think about getting more information and deciding if they were interested in running for office. So I'm hoping that all of council can attend, and I think it would be really interesting if all of us shared why we ran in the first time, or why we were interested, and what we do as council members, because we all do something a little bit differently other than showing up to the required meetings that we need to be at. So I'll talk with you, Mayor, if you'd like to come and talk about the mayor's job and the requirements for that, which we all know, you have to be a registered voter, 18, and have lived in the city for 12 consecutive months, which, the requirements are pretty slim, but, that's a law. But, we always get questions, and I just want to be out there in the beginning to encourage people to look into it. if they're interested. We have several commissions open that have seats open. We have quite a lot, actually. So if you're interested in being on a city commission, please go to our city webpage and see what's open. And the application is right there. You can fill it out and send it in, and someone will contact you. And I'd also just like to say, I watched the governor's press conference for a little bit this afternoon, and I didn't hear what I wanted to hear, which was that restaurants would be open for in-person dining. So I don't think I missed it, because I've read several updates from the press and from SCA and from other folks who did hear it. So my understanding is we all start on phase 1 next week. Then we hopefully can move to phase 2 quite soon. But phase 1 does not allow restaurants to have in-person dining. And in Federal Way, we have a lot of restaurants and we have a lot of gyms that are closed right now. And I was talking to Becca Martin at the Chamber of Commerce, and frustrated by not being able to help our restaurants more than what we've done, which as a city we've helped. We've provided money in our support. The local shopping ad is awfully great. I didn't mean awful. It's great, and but still there's some frustration on my part, because I know that restaurants are suffering, and I'm not sure that the tents do anything different than in-person dining. So I'm hoping that if at our council meeting next time, if we're not at phase 2, which allows for in-person dining, perhaps we could work with the Chamber of Commerce and maybe write a letter to the governor about asking how we could help get some guidelines as to opening restaurants, because we have so many restaurants here in Federal Way. And I think that we could have some insight that might help the governor as he comes to his decisions. We're here local, and local government, we're feet on the ground. We know what's going on in our cities. And anyway, so that's my concern, and that is my report. And I'm very glad to be in 2021. It's going to be a great year. It's going to be a healthier year, and we're all ready to buckle down and work hard. So thank you.
Very good. Okay, thank you. All right, let's take a 10-minute break, and I've got.
Can I add one more thing, Mayor, before we go?
Yes, you bet.
Thank you so much. SCA last year started its Racial Equity and Justice Series, and we all received an email to participate this year's title, part of the series, which is this Friday, January the 8th from 2:30 to 4. And it's on Washington Employers for Racial Equity. And the guest speaker actually is Governor Christine Gregoire. She is the leader of the Challenge Seattle? And so she's going to be talking about the initiative that they're working on, and then data-driven information around race equity and how the comparison between Black people in America versus white people, and the impact that they've had around, throughout their lives. But anyway, if you haven't registered, please register, because I think this would be a really good part of the series. And as we continue throughout 2021, this is going to be at least, hopefully once a month or once a quarter that the series is going to continue. But it's really been great, and I know a couple of you have attended and participated. And if you have time, please join, please register to participate. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. All right, well, why don't we say 11 minutes from right now at exactly 7:45, we will reconvene.
Awesome.
No, I did not. I put, yeah. Pierwszy yeterli. Zostaniecie. Oops.
Okay. It's now 7:45. I'll reconvene the meeting. Okay. Okay. Now we're on to public comment, and Stephanie, what do we have in regard to public comment?
The first speaker we have, Mayor, is Clive C.J. Cabiles. I apologize if I say his name wrong. He should be on the line ready to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, cool. Well, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Hope you all are doing well. My name is CJ Cabiles, and I have lived here in Federal Way for pretty much my whole life. And I just want to say that I've seen the growth and everything that's just been changing overall throughout the entire city. I've seen pretty much like how the crossing used to be like a grimy like truck area and became something so cool. And I just wanted to speak about how I feel like the Federal Way area could definitely use a indoor skate park of some sort. I'm pretty much speaking for the entire Federal Way skate community that like it's just kind of hard being a skater in this area. And I know most people don't really care for skateboarding, I guess, just because it's mostly viewed as like a kid's activity, I guess. But it's kind of grown into a whole sport, kind of like on the same level as basketball, I'd personally say. I just have a huge passion for it, and I apologize if I'm stuttering. Quite nervous, but I'm trying. Where was I going? But I just wanted to, I guess, ask for your opinions on what we can, or where we can meet in the middle to maybe build or utilize another space for an indoor skate park, possibly. I know that there was some talks about the Steel Lake Skate Park getting torn down, and I wanted to know, I guess, why that is happening and why that was even talked about. And another thing would be that, or another example would be that Long Acres DIY is getting shut down as well. And I don't know if that's in your jurisdiction, but I wanted to understand why these things are happening. Yeah, I just think that Federal Way is in like a perfect area right in between everything. And I just feel like, especially if the transit station is getting built, that a lot more foot traffic is going to happen in our area. And I think this could just, I don't know, be a great opportunity to, grow the skateboarding community even more. So, yeah, I would just like to hear your opinions on that. And I believe that is all.
All right. Well, thank you. So we're not really set up in this forum. This forum right now is to hear your comments. And so I would encourage you. I saw your email earlier today, and I would encourage you to keep communicating with the council and my office about your ideas. Great idea. With regard to your answer in regard to the skate park over there across the street from Steel Lake Park on 312 and 28. There has never been a proposal to tear that down. What we've got over at the annex for the Public Works location there is we've got a very antiquated building. We've got all kinds of equipment that is subject to weathering, and we just actually had another major crime that occurred over there, break-ins and stealing of our equipment, and so that facility needs to be replaced. So the example, it was only used an example of one of the properties that we own that we could possibly use. We hired a company. So the council has never authorized moving forward with the destruction of the skate park. It's not been proposed.
Okay.
So we actually hired a company that the council approved to examine not only what our needs are, but what our options are in regard to properties that we own or properties in town. So sometime this year, it'll be brought back before the council to review the findings of that report. So thank you very much. We appreciate your comments, but I wanted to get back to you as to that one issue.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for weighing in. Okay, next, Stephanie.
Mayor, we have one other person signed up for comments under 7B for the ordinance. I just want to give him the opportunity to see if he wanted to speak now or if he wanted to wait until later in the agenda to speak under first reading. And that's Gregory Bush.
I will be brief. I will speak now.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great.
This is Gregory Bush with Wireless Policy Group, speaking on behalf of AT&T. First, I'd like to say happy birthday to Mr. Tim Johnson. And second, I'd like to thank the opportunity to speak and thank the city for all its efforts in updating its wireless code. In particular, I'd like to thank the city staff for considering industry input and drafting the code update and working with us to make a workable code. I'm confident that what we have tonight is workable and the remaining issues are being addressed for second reading or will be addressed in a future code update. We look forward to the city's next round of updates to the wireless code and hope to continue working cooperatively with the city to improve coverage and provide better service to residences, businesses, and first responders in Federal Way. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Stephanie, any written comments?
No, Mayor, that's all we have.
All right, nobody else on the line?
No, nobody else.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. All right, thank you, everybody. Now we're on to consent agenda. These items have gone through committee and can be passed all at once. I'll go ahead and read the items. At the conclusion, I will ask whether a council member would want an item pulled for separate consideration. And the item 6A on the agenda, this 320th Flagpole Rehabilitation Project, would have been normally on the consent agenda, but I requested it be pulled so we could do a little Gronkowski spike and brag on ourselves on what's going on there. So let's go. We'll go ahead and I'll start reading the listed items under 5 consent agenda. Item A, minutes for the December 1st, 2020 regular and special meeting minutes. Summary of December 15th, 2020 special meeting, the legislative breakfast. Item B, downtown staircase project acceptance. It's the town center steps. Item C, Southwest Dash Point Road at 47th Avenue Southwest, compact roundabout, 85% design report and authorization to bid. Item D, Pacific Highway South non-motorized corridor, 30% design report. Item E, South 314th Street improvements, 30% design report. Item F, Lakota Middle School safe routes to school, 85% design status report and authorization to bid. Item G, authorization to accept grant funding for transportation improvement projects. And H, award concrete beveling services trip hazard removal contract. Council, would any council member want to pull an item for separate discussion or consideration? Seeing none, Council President Honda, do you have a motion with respect to A through H?
Yes, I move approval of items A through H on the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matters A through H are authorized and approved. Item 6, council business. Item A, 320 South 320th Flagpole Rehabilitation Project Acceptance. Staff report by our Public Works Director, EJ Walsh. EJ?
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, members of the council. Trying to share my screen. Hopefully you can see it. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we are here tonight for as the mayor mentioned, the South 320th Street Flagpole Rehabilitation Project Acceptance, which went through LUTC at the December meeting. So the policy question is, should council accept the South 320th Street Flagpole Rehabilitation Project as complete? The picture on the left is the pole after the accident. You can see the damage, the dent in the middle of it, as well as the damage the car did above. And then the picture in the center and the picture on the right is the restored pole. The picture in the center also shows the restored landscaping, not the irrigation system, which is underground, but it also shows the restored lighting. So the financial impacts, there are no financial impacts of this project. This is final acceptance. So there's no proposed additional spending for this. And background information is this project constructed an in-kind replacement of the flagpole after it was involved in a vehicular accident. So by state law, the city council must accept work as complete to meet the Department of Revenue and Employment Security Department and L&I requirements. So that is what is before you tonight. And the exciting part, as the mayor alluded to, is this project was done substantially under budget. So the original budget was $150,000, which was funded through the city's risk fund. And we managed to bring it in at $22,634.02. So the savings on this project is obviously the majority of the budget. It's $127,000. So the city staff is rightfully very proud of the work that went into this. The questions come up a couple of times of how did we manage to get that project savings. So I did want to share a little bit of information with the council on it. First and foremost, when the budget was originally developed, we did not know if the foundation was damaged. We couldn't see that when it was damaged until we started to actually remove some of the also damaged concrete above it and the cap over the existing pole. And on that one, we got lucky. We were able to reuse the existing foundation, so we did not incur that cost. But the rest of the cost savings, frankly, came from staff. So we internally, when we developed this budget, the whole thing was intended to be put out to a contractor and have a contractor come in and fully replace everything and basically reset that whole plaza back to pre-accident conditions. There was a very long lead time with the flagpole. Those are, as we discussed with council before, those are custom fabricated. You can't just go down the street and buy one. So it took a long time to get it from Valmet. So in light of that, city staff went out and repaired the irrigation system initially, and that was done to protect the remaining plants so we didn't lose additional plants. There was no more landscape material that died because the irrigation system was not functional. Next, it is in a very high visibility location, so we replaced the damaged landscape materials with city staff. Then we repaired the concrete, and then ultimately through King County, we repaired the damaged lights. That entire scope of work was intended to be done by an outside contractor. By using city staff, and I do want to be clear, there is a law about how much work the city can do internally with city staff on capital projects. We stayed under that. We are completely where we should be on that with this project and for the year. There's a threshold related to the amount it's a percentage of the total budget that we have to outsource. So I do want to be very clear. We did comply with that because that's also a big thing. But we were able largely to do this project in-house with the exception of physically removing the damaged pole and putting the new pole in. That's obviously specialty work that involved a rather large crane in the middle of the night. So the project was funded through the risk fund. So that $127,000 will be transferred back to the risk fund via a budget adjustment later this year when that occurs. That is not savings that will roll into another project. So sometimes with capital projects, if there's remaining funding that came out of REIT or something else, we reassign it to a different capital project. That will not be the case for this because it was funded for risk. That will be transferred back to risk. So the options considered are to authorize the final acceptance of the 320th flagpole in the amount of $22,634.02, or to not authorize final acceptance and provide direction to staff. The mayor's recommendation is option 1, to accept it. The LUTC recommendation from the December 7th meeting was also to accept it. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
All right. Council, any questions? Okay, hearing none. Councilmember Assefa Dawson.
Sorry about that, Mayor. Sorry, EJ, did you say there's a requirement? I don't know if you said above or below a certain amount. Is that by the government? Is it above or below? I didn't hear the threshold.
So that we have, as a city, we have a threshold on how much capital construction our crews can do internally on an annual basis. Which is part of the reason why, a lot of these larger capital projects, we don't just hire internal construction staff and build them ourselves, is we would be in violation of that. We are obligated to contract out the majority of our capital construction work. Maintenance work we can do all day long. But capital construction, there's strict limits on the amount. And that, like I said, it's a percentage of the total budget, so it changes every year, the exact dollar figure. But that is, something we're constantly watching. And I just want to be very clear that we did comply with that, because this is frankly capital construction, even though it's replacement. So I just want to be fully transparent with the council.
Great, thank you. So it is a percentage, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's by project is where the percentage comes in, or is it the totality?
No, it's on an annual basis.
Okay.
So it's all capital construction we do on an annualized basis.
Right. And I had another question. Oh, so did you say the insurance was going to cover it? Is that what I?
So we funded this. The direction from council was this was funded out of the risk fund, the city's risk
Right.
fund. And then the city is in the process of seeking restitution. That's kind of the line where I stop. But, we build stuff and get it built, and then I turn it over to the legal department for the restitution side.
And
Thank you
what
so
I would
much.
just, thank you. I think it is important to note that the individual who is only accused at this point of striking the pole and committing another offense, still has a pending matter before a municipal court. Should the matter result in a conviction, we will of course seek restitution for this amount. But this amount is obviously much, much, much lower than we thought it was going to be. So great job, EJ. Really appreciate all the work of your crews. And it's really good. It's a phenomenal outcome that we were able to save $127,000.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I want to clarify with EJ on the amount. The motion reads for 23,000, not 22,000.
The amount is what's
22,634.02.
Yes, correct.
I want to make sure because there are motions for 23 on my paperwork. Just want to make sure that is the correct amount.
The correct amount is from the PowerPoint.
22.
Yes.
Right.
So
So I'll revise. Okay. So I'll make a revision on the motion then, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I move approval of the final acceptance of the South 320th Street Flagpole Rehabilitation Project in the amount of $22,634.02 as complete.
Second.
All right. There's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. It passes. Thank you. Okay. Now, item B, federal lobbyist contract. We'll have a staff report first from Bill Vadino, our policy advisor. Bill?
Mayor and Council President, I'm pulling up the PowerPoint, and members of the Council. Here's our PowerPoint. We're here to discuss the proposed 2021 federal lobbyist contract. And let's see, next slide. I'm having trouble with the slides here, team. There we go. As you all know, during the 21-22 budget process, there was a consensus of the council with concurrent approval of the mayor to contract for federal lobbyist services for the year 2021. This contract, as you all discussed, would give the City of Federal Way enhanced representation in Washington, D.C. to identify and advocate for funding for capital projects and other city initiatives. The allocation in the budget that you passed is $60,000 for 2021. The mayor, in consultation with Council President Honda and Councilmember Kochmar, recommended contracting with VNF Solutions for this contract. VNF is very well known. It's a division of Van Ness Feldman, an established DC-based law and lobbyist firm of 40 years with a focus on government and business advocacy, primarily at the federal level. And VNF will be represented by partner Richard Agnew, who's also on this call, a longtime Federal Way resident, former congressional staff member, along with others, including former Congressman Norm Dix, and a team with vast years of experience in lobbying at the federal and regional level. So upon approval of the contract, collaboration will begin moments after to formulate a federal legislative agenda to be discussed at your next meeting on January 19, 2021. So the council options are approve the federal lobbyist contract with VNF, approve the contract with changes, or do not approve, and the mayor recommends to approve the contract with VNF. So, questions and discussion.
Oh, and we also have Richard Agnew, Rick
He's
Agnew
on the line for
That's right.
those questions too. So,
Just
Rick, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I hope I'm appearing now and can be heard. My name is Rick Agnew, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Rick. And for just so everybody knows, and many people do, Rick has been a long time, he and his wife and family have been longtime Federal Way residents as well. So thank you for your commitment to our community. Okay, I see Councilmember Moore.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure if it's Richard or Rick. I don't know.
Rick. I go by Rick.
Wonderful. Well, Rick, I hope to get the chance to meet you and connect with you. I think I just, Mr. Mayor, these are more just so comments, not necessarily questions. And first, I want to thank Bill Vidino for supplying me, and of course, you, Mr. Mayor, for supplying me the contract. Very straightforward. I appreciated the advocacy from Councilmember Kochmar on this matter for some time, absolutely. And so I'm going to be really curious, watching and seeing the good outcomes that are going to be coming from you, Rick. And I look very much to the pivotal partnership that we're about to create. This is relatively new for Federal Way, to my knowledge at least. And I don't think, again, based on my knowledge, I don't think we've ever had a federal contracted out to a federal lobbyist. So I'm really hoping for positive outcomes, strong outcomes that we can showcase for the people, and honestly provide support to our budget so that we can, do whatever else is important with our city budget. So a lot of stake is riding on this, and I'm very optimistic that the right outcomes will come out. And I just want to thank Councilmember Kochmar for your hardcore advocacy on this. So thank you so much. And Rick, I hope I'll get a chance to connect with you virtually or over the phone here next coming week or two, just to learn more about you and watch the work you're doing. And hopefully we as a council can support you in whatever you need us to do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Suffolk Dawson, I see your hand is up.
By mistake, but thank you so much for all the work. And I just echo what Councilmember Moore said. So thank you.
Councilmember Agnew, we've got a system here. If people forget to put their hands down, they add to the kitty for my Diet Coke fund. All right.
That should go into the city budget.
That's right. That's right. Council, any other comments or questions? Council President Honda.
Sorry. I believe, Councilmember Moore, that Federal Way has had a lobbyist in DC before your time, and kind of before my time also. Or it was right around when I started on the council that the position was eliminated due to the recession.
Right. Okay. I think you're right. Councilmember Kochmar.
Yes, we did have a lobbyist at that time. And I can tell you that there's, we can receive grants, we can argue on our behalf, but we need that push in Washington, D.C., especially with somebody as formidable as Norm Dix. I'm hoping that we can, you need to have them, actually, I call it babysitting the bill through the different committees, but it's actually tracking the bill through the committees to make sure that it doesn't get dropped. And I can tell you, I know one bill in our own Washington State Legislature that would have been dropped had not our state lobbyists come to me at the last minute to say, we got a problem, and I was able to fix it right away, or we would not have been able to get a project funded. So it's really important to have that partnership, but I'm really happy to have somebody at the federal level now, because I know that, as Mr. Agnew has said, I believe that Vice President-elect Biden, or President-elect Biden, has hopefully a open parks, maybe I'm saying that wrong, Rick, open parks across America
The Great American
program?
Outdoors Act, right?
Oh, that's it. Great American Outdoors Act, which I'm hoping we can find funding for Celebration Park for some turf fields. So that, and the way, if you get them funding for the turf fields, for example, $1 million each. I'm not sure what we'd get from the federal government, but and you partner that with the state government, all of a sudden you then relieve your operations staff from having to mow that grass constantly, and then you can use those fields 24/7, and we can relieve our operating budget to be used for other things. So that's just one idea. I'm sure that Rick and his firm will have other ideas for us. So thank you. Rick, is there anything you want to say?
Mr. Mayor and Council President and Council members, Councilmember Moore too. I appreciate what you said. I mean, I do think it's important to deliver results. And as far as shaping the agenda and understanding the agenda, it's the city's agenda that we have to advance. So you'll have opportunities, and I think the mayor mentioned this for the next meeting. But the federal agenda is much more aggressive coming into the next year to 4 years on economic aid to cities, COVID, infrastructure, resilient infrastructure. And this is a specialty of our firm. This is what we work on. So I hear the call that we money is tight, and this is an important contract, and we certainly will work on deliverables at a high level. And just a quick comment about Congressman Dix. He's really enthusiastic to help here. And, he's a 37-year member of the House of Representatives. His friends are still like the chair of this House Appropriations Committee. So he wanted me to say that he's Norm Dix, so he's ready to charge. And so that's part of the team.
That's great. That's great. Look forward to catching up with him and you. We'll reach out probably tomorrow and the next day just to in preparation for the next council meeting's presentation. Bill's already, I think, putting the finishing touches on that presentation that we'll make at the next council meeting. So thank you very much, Rick. Okay, council, any other questions? All right, Council President Honda, do you have a motion?
Yes, I do. I move to approve the proposed agreement and authorize the mayor to sign said agreement.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome.
Here. And thank you, Councilmember Kochmar, for being our internal lobbyist to finally wrestle me to the floor and get me to act on this, so I can get you guys to act.
Anytime.
Exactly. All right. There's been a motion, a second, a good discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The matter passes unanimously. It's official. Rick, you're on board. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. Take care. Okay. Now moving on to the next item. Item 7 is ordinances. First reading. Item A, Council Bill 795, School Speed
Mayor.
Limit Ordinance.
Mayor?
Yes.
We have an added item on the agenda.
Oh. What would I do exactly? Okay. All right. I even wrote it down too.
I know.
Okay. Exactly. All right. Council President Honda, you are recognized for purpose of this motion.
Thank you. So last night at the LUTC meeting, in which most of the council members were present, there was a presentation by Doc Hansen on the housing A plan. Can't think of what the A is right now for. Action. Thank you so much. So anyway, one of the slides that was presented, I knew this to be true, but I hadn't seen it in black and white. And it talked about the median income of cities. And the cities in North King County are way high in their median income. And we are in South King County quite a bit lower. And because we're in King County, those numbers mean something. And it has always seemed to me to be a little bit unfair that our city is compared to the cities in the north with such higher incomes than we have. South King County has issues that are different than North King County. And in some of the SCA workshops that I've attended during this time with COVID, I've heard what some of those issues are, and they're different than what we're facing here in the South. And so I thought that this would be a good time to bring this to the council for a discussion, because one of the things that Doc Hansen said was that they would like to have the cities in South King County work together, so that in working together, our voices are stronger. And it wouldn't be just for housing, but it would be hopefully to discuss sound transit issues, public health issues. I mean, I could see a whole lot of things that could be discussed in this. And the mayor would, of course, be our representative. So I would like to, I know Councilmember Kochmar was very interested in this, as well as some other council members. So, Brian Davis can show that slide so that everyone can see and talk about what was the housing action plan. And so we can all see this, because it is quite shocking if you look at it. So there it is. Look at Sammamish and then look at us. And, you know, I'm proud to live in South King County. I'm proud to live in Federal Way. And I really wouldn't want to live in Sammamish or Kirkland, but we have special needs and concerns in Federal Way and in South King County. And working together with the other cities down here will make our voices much stronger.
Okay. So did you make a motion?
No, not yet. So I would move to direct the mayor to convene the cities in South King County to work together on the housing action plans and other issues that come before them.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Second.
And go ahead.
And there's been a motion, a second. Councilmember Kochmar, is there any discussion?
Yes, it sounded like Leandra wanted to discuss also, but if you're looking at what's still on the screen is the income with North King County, East King County versus South King County, and this is by design. This is the Growth Management Act. This is what happened to us when they passed the GMA in 1990. All of the jobs went to the job centers up north and to the east. Well, think of, Amazon, basically Microsoft at the time. And then we got the lower income housing is what went to the south. And we're finally getting light rail. But and our people have been driving two and three jobs in the Seattle area for years. I mean, just to work at minimum wage jobs. It's unconscionable. So my thinking is if we coordinate with Kent, Tukwila, Burien, Auburn, Renton, and pull in SeaTac and Des Moines if they're interested, we represent 500,000 people in the South Sound area. That will give us strength. There's strength in numbers. And then we can go to our congressional folks and say, hey, look, we're getting the short shrift here. You need to help us out. And so I want our people to be able to have well-paying jobs that are in our own community. I want our people to be able to feel that they have a community they can be proud of, that they have a downtown that's well-planned, and that we have places for them to live, and we have different types of housing for all income levels, and that we're able to help our neighbors. And the way we're able to help our neighbors, if we have decent jobs here. And so I'm really excited that at the thought of us banding together with the other cities in the South County area to there's strength in numbers. And the two biggest cities, I believe, are Kent and Federal Way. And I believe Federal Way should have always been a leader in this whole endeavor. So thank you all. And Mayor, good luck.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Kraft. And whoever is sharing that income screen, can you please unshare it? Thank you. Okay.
I just wanted to echo the sentiments that Councilmember Kochmar had, that we really represent a large portion of King County. But as I've said continuously, even when I was applying for this council position, is that South King County often gets left behind. And something that we should also sort of think about is when you think about the historical background of why the income is where it is in North King County, it is because there were previously racial covenants where people of color, BIPOC communities weren't able to sort of live in North or the East Side, and you see where the wealth is distributed. And so part of, I wasn't able to attend the LUTC meeting last night, but I did review the packet. And when you look at the racial demographics of South King County cities, you see that the demographics, there are much more people of color, the BIPOC communities here in the South End. So I really think that this is a great idea for us to work together with the South King County cities. And it's also another opportunity for Federal Way to be a leader considering race and equity. So obviously we want to work for all of the residents of Federal Way, but it is important when we take a look at the makeup of South King County cities and even Federal Way, that's something that we also don't forget. So thank you for bringing this up, and thank you for moving this item or adding this item, Council President Honda, and for your sentiments, Council Member Kochmar.
Yeah, thank you very much, Council President Honda, for your phone call earlier today. I had actually suggested, we were talking about options. I suggested she add it to the agenda. So anyway, thank you for doing so. Okay, Council President Honda, do you have a statement?
I do. I did want to thank Brian Davis for being here tonight and for speaking with me today. But last night at LUTC, there was agreement that we would have a study session on the HAP, and we will talk at probably agenda setting as to when we can do that. So that, I mean, there is a ton of information offered last night, and it was just too short of a time to take it all in.
Yeah.
So a study session will be a great thing for us, and we'll do it as soon as we can. I don't know what our calendar looks like though.
As a point of information, would you please restate your motion? I want to make sure the city clerk got it all.
Well, since I didn't write it down, that might be a little hard. Does she want to reread it to me so that I could see if that's what it was?
Yeah, I'm trying to be coy. I was trying to be sly about this. Stephanie, what do you got so far?
I just missed the last part of it. So direct the mayor to convene the cities in South King County to work on, I don't know if you said specifically the housing action plan or just generalized issues.
The housing action plan and any other issues that come before it.
Any other issues? Okay. Thank you. I got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to I actually made sure that Bill, Bill's going to help me with this. I'm actually, I'm going to be meeting with the mayor's council, just as an FYI, before we vote. I received an email earlier today from Mayor Backus of Auburn, who is the South King County, she's the Sound Cities Association representative to the King County Homelessness Authority. And she is gathering the mayors of Federal Way, Auburn, Kent, and Renton to talk about our shared interest in addressing homeless issues. So was just responding to her. So I'll be talking with those mayors, and this will dovetail perfectly into that. Okay.
Awesome.
So, Councilmember Sefadossan, did you have another comment?
I did. Thank you. Yeah. I do want to thank all of you for putting this on the front burner. And as a comment or question, I really think we should not reinvent the wheel. So hopefully we can work with Skip on this, as well as, like you said, Mayor. I actually was going to suggest that before you said it. So thank you for the fact that you guys are meeting on this. And then there's other housing initiatives and programs that are out there, not programs, but initiatives and organizations that are really working on this, and possibly even connecting with Sound Cities as well as AWC, hopefully, because they do have a toolkit for housing issues. So hopefully we can explore all those things that are in place for us to utilize and take advantage of, rather than us, if we're going to go regional, then it would be very beneficial. And also understanding the history, because I appreciate what Leandra brought up, and it's a very strong case, and it's historically something that has really segregated our communities. And so, and then also the impact of zip codes and housing and all these things are very important for us to include in this process as we move forward.
Well, a lot of people have made
Thank
the
you.
correlation as well. Thank you, Councilmember Cefados. And many people have made the correlation as lower incomes for households to airport and airline traffic as well, and the disproportionate impacts it has in South King County. Well, many of the users are from the north and eastern portion of our county. Disproportionately, the impacted communities are to the south. So that's once again, we're just talking about the life expectancy and the health issues of people of lower incomes and just geographical area. Yeah, you've got multiple different layers here of impacts, and so I think that's something. We've got Council President Honda. Did you have something quick in addition to that?
I was just going to say, since you brought up the health impacts, a few years ago there was a report done by Public Health, and it showed that people in South King County pass away 10 years sooner than people in North King County. And that's stunning. I mean, there should be no reason for that.
Right.
So we need to change things like that. And we can only do it really working together.
Absolutely. Council Member Kuchmar.
Well, a lot of the companies today, when job creators, don't build buildings, they lease. And I noticed today in the TNT that Tesla and Amazon Fulfillment Center releasing 2 buildings in Lakewood. What the heck? Federal Way has a building. So maybe as a region, we can draw some of those big companies into our area. That's what we need. We need the jobs here so that our people can live and work where they live. And so just want to make it sure we're emphasizing jobs. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Okay, there's been a motion. It's been restated. It's been seconded. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, ordinances. Item 7, ordinances. First reading. Item A, Council Bill 795, School Speed Limit Ordinance Amendment. First, a staff report from Rick Perez, our city traffic engineer, then public comment, and then we'll move on from there. Mr. Perez, the floor is yours.
Thank you and good evening. Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, let me share my screen here and we'll get going on the presentation. And all right, so school speed limit ordinance, and the policy question is, should the council approve an ordinance to set school speed limits? So a little bit of background information. This came about due to the Lakota Safe Routes to School project. And in the yellow shows the existing school zone, 20-mile-per-hour school zone. And as part of the Safe Routes to School project on Dash Point Road here, we had proposed to extend that 300 feet from the intersection of Southwest 312th Street and Dash Point Road and 21st Avenue and Dash Point Road, and having the entire section be in the school zone. And turns out that we do not have the authority unilaterally to do that because it's a state highway. This issue hadn't come up previously because we didn't have any statutory school zones on state highways prior to this. So Washington State DOT is requiring that we make sure that our code addresses school zone speed limits. And so as part of the package to get it through a washed out approval, that's why I'm presenting this tonight. So, so this ordinance would create a new section in FWRC 830 to allow the director, Public Works Director, to determine all the locations for 20-mile-per-hour school zone speed limits. When we looked at the ordinance, there was a few other things that were using outdated terminology, so we're updating those references. The last one I found particularly humorous. I'd never heard the word curvation, but anyway, so just updating those ordinances. So really, it's fairly simple beyond that, although there's a lot of text there to go through. So options considered is option 1, to approve the draft ordinance, or 2, do not approve the draft ordinance and provide direction to staff. And the mayor's recommendation is to approve the draft ordinance. I'm happy to answer any questions at this point.
Council, any questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Rick. Stand by. And now I believe we had public comment. Do we have any public comment, Stephanie?
Nope, I don't have anyone signed up for this, Mayor.
Okay. And then, one second. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 795, Speed Limit Ordinance Amendment, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to speed limits, amending Federal Way Revised Code 830.020, 830.030, 830.040, and adding a new section to Federal Way Revised Code 830.
All right. Councilmember Baruso, do you have a motion?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. I move to forward the proposed ordinance to January 19th, 2021 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Second.
All right, it's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, item B, Council Bill 796, amendments to the Federal Way Revised Code, FWRC, Chapters 4 and 19 related to wireless telecommunication facilities. We'll hear from Desiree Winkler, Deputy Public Works Director, then public comment, then we'll move from there. Desiree, the floor is yours.
Great. Good evening, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council President Honda, and members of council. First, I would like to know that I have our outside counsel in attendance as well as Emily Miner from Ogden Murphy Wallace. Ms. Miner did a great job. She did all the heavy lifting, including working one-on-one with each of the industry providers for this mutually agreed upon wireless code. So the policy question before you is, should City Council adopt amendments to the Federal Ways Code Titles 19 related to wireless telecommunication facilities? So background, and I think you guys have seen this enough, so you guys should be able to do this presentation yourself. But for our public, I want to make sure that they have opportunity to see this as well. So the demand for wireless broadband access has grown exponentially in the past 10 years. First, we have seen a lot of development in new macro towers going in, but because of the demand, there's a need to densify the system, and they want to do that through the implementation of small cells. As you can see on your screen, the small cells would be more of the, I like to call them the streetlight size facilities with, they have antennas on the top and a radio equipment. And then they're either going to broadcast to the macro tower or else the fiber optic cables that are underground adjacent to those facilities. So in 2016, industry did request be able to install small wireless facilities. So cities had to prepare on how these were going to be accommodated. Federal Communication Commission, or FCC, gave the cities a little bit of a boost or incentive or requirement that that cities had to implement code, zoning, timelines, aesthetic standards that were all required. Legal challenges ensued, with the most recent decision on those legal challenges issued this past June in 2020. So from 2018 to present, the city has diligently developed and implemented code and design standards to meet these federal and state laws requiring accommodation of wireless facilities, including Federal Way Revised Code in Chapter 4, where we have developed franchise application requirements with specific timelines. 4.23, which talks about small wireless permitting. 4.24, which implements those required federal shot clocks or timelines on when, from beginning to when we are permitting these small wireless facilities, what the requirements are. And then in the zoning code, development code, chapter 19, we implemented zoning requirements, permitting timelinings, and established interim design and aesthetic standards. So with amendments, we're primarily consolidating all the wireless code into one chapter, moving a majority of it to 19. Again, the amendments are, there's a lot of this that is existing code. It has been updated to meet the current federal law. So 4.22 removed all the redundant sections related to application review timelines. 4.23 was moved again to Chapter 19.256. And then 4.24, which was eliminated and moved for the eligible facilities requirements, or referring to the eligible facilities requirements in Chapter 19.257, which is a new chapter. And again, just mainly for ease of use, and that regardless if these facilities are located within the right-of-way or outside the right-of-way, the requirements are the same and now are all located in one location of our code. Again, we redid 19.256 to consolidate all of the permitting and design standards, again, both within and without the right-of-way. And then 19.257, which is a relocated section, which used to be 4.24 for eligible facilities requests. And what eligible facilities requests are for existing facilities and the ability for the industry to come in and be able to make modifications to those facilities, what those requirements are. So why are these amendments important is that small wireless is coming, and we want to make sure that we allow reasonable and fair access within our city, and we need to be able to have standards on how it looks. There's a couple of ways that it can happen. They can go on existing wood utility poles. You'll see an example there on the right and left pictures. The one on the left trying to implement some amount of aesthetic standards by at least painting the equipment the same color-ish as the pole. The one on the right is stuff that that's what we don't want. We don't want a mishmash of different color boxes slapped to a pole with wires exposed without them being in conduit. So this is truly what these amendments are doing and trying to protect the investment that the city has made in millions and millions of dollars in the transportation improvements, where we've installed sidewalks, ground utilities, and we don't want these small lists coming in and providing some sort of eyesore to where we've done a lot of work. So the middle one is more of an example of what you would expect, especially in areas of underground utilities where we don't have utility poles, is where they would come in and replace one of our street lights and potentially implement some screening standards, such as like a banner, like you see there. This code will outline everything that's needed to meet the timelines. It's very important to make sure that that is outlined, because these are really aggressive timelines that the feds are requiring us to meet. And so basically we lay out everything that is needed in order for them to be permitted. And if they can't bring all this stuff in at once, then we have a more reasonable chance of meeting the timelines. Design standards summary. We prioritize where facilities should be located. We want the major wireless facilities to be located on BPA towers, existing poles, new poles being kind of the last resort. Small wireless, again, we would like to prioritize that we put them on an existing pole or replace an existing pole, and then add a new pole as kind of last resort, but that pole must meet the city standards. We require an RF or radio frequency engineer affidavit to make sure that the emissions are within all the regulated health and safety standards, and that the facility should meet clearance and ADA standards as well. For new and replacement poles, we want the equipment concealed within the pole base or mounted on a cabinet with concealment strategies such as a banner, that the size of the equipment is reasonable, not overly large or taking away from the original purpose of the pole. We do not want any ground mounted equipment. We have limited space as it is. The design standards outline the antenna and equipment box dimensions. We talk about what is technically feasible to provide us some flexibility, because technology is constantly changing. And that was some of the comments that we received from industry, is trying to provide a little bit of flexibility so that we can meet these changing technologies. So as an example, we have been working with one of the pole manufacturers to develop what the city's streetlight pole replacement would look like. This is a draft concept. So our streetlight poles, the taller aluminum ones, have what we call that the davit arm. So that's that curvature at the top. If you notice, if you drive by and now you're going to look, right? It's a nice continuous arc curve at the top. And then this provides for kind of the extension of that arc with that enclosed antenna at the top. There is provisions for the different type of antenna, which is the smaller, my understanding is the smaller 5G antenna. Oops, what happened? There we go. And then, but anyways, this is the one where we'd allow an equipment box mounted on the pole itself. So that's an example of what our standards will require. So we did our public due diligence. A SEPA checklist was completed with a programmatic DNS issued. Because this is in Title 19, it is related to Growth Management Act and zoning standards. So Department of Commerce was asked for a review. We provided the document for industry review, and they did a very detailed and extensive review. We made sure that the code was updated to meet current laws. Again, we allowed for reasonable flexibility to accommodate what was technically feasible. And we're pleased to say that we were able to come up with a mutual acceptance of these code amendments. The one thing we did not address that industry is requesting and talked with our planning commission extensively about is the siting of major wireless communication facilities. Currently, we do not allow those to be sited within residential zones, and they would like us to consider options for putting macro facilities within residential zoning. And primarily reason being is now we are at home in our residence using our phones and broadband and wireless a lot. And so the Planning Commission did commit that they would make that as inclusive into their work plan to look at these zoning. Land Use and Transportation Committee did review this at their December meeting, and they recommended approval. Planning Commission, where the public hearing was held for this, was held on December 2nd and also continued to December 16th to address industry comments. Planning Commission also recommends approval. It's full disclosure, a late edit came in that is not in your packet tonight that we propose to clean up prior to second reading and final adoption. It's really some minor items related to expansion of small wireless facilities, existing facilities, and just kind of some technical things that we had agreed upon before that just didn't make it to the final edits. So nothing big here. Is make sure that the intent was that if they were changing or adding to an existing facility, that they did not, they agree that they should not defeat the concealment requirements as related to stealth techniques, as opposed to design elements. They certainly can add something that does still meet our design requirements, but and meets the original intent. So we propose that this edit would be cleaned up prior to final adoption. So options considered is to adopt the proposed ordinance to amend Federal Way Revised Code Titles 4 and 19 related to wireless telecommunications facilities. Or option 2, do not adopt the proposed ordinance and provide direction to staff. And the mayor does recommend option 1, adopt the proposed ordinance amending Titles 4 and 19 of the Federal Way Revised Code as related to wireless communication facilities. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, council, any questions? Okay, hearing none. Do we have any public comment?
We do not have any additional public comment, Mayor.
Okay. Would you please read the ordinance title?
Yep. Council Bill 796, Amendments to the Federal Way Revised Code, Chapters 4 and 19 related to wireless telecommunication facilities. An ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to wireless communication facilities, repealing and replacing Federal Way Revised Code, Chapters 423, Small Wireless Deployment, 424, Eligible Facilities Requests, Federally Required Review Periods, and 19256, Wireless Communication Facilities in their entirety, revising Chapter 422, Franchise for Use of Right-of-Way, and adding new Chapter 19257, Eligible Facility Requests.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Brusso, do you have a motion?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I move to forward proposed ordinance to January 19th, 2021 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion?
Where is the button?
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously. All right, item C, Council Bill 797, Comprehensive Plan Amendment Rezone. Staff report from Doc Hanson, Principal Planner. Then we'll have public comment and we'll go from there. Doc?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, President Honda, members of the council. You are fairly familiar with this proposal. It's proposed comprehensive plan and amendment rezone to the area adjacent to the Redondo Heights. Excuse me. Working 2 seconds ago.
We see it.
Doc, you might have to click a couple of times on the presentation.
Thank you.
There it is.
Clicked on a different line. So you are very familiar with this proposal. It is a proposal for a comprehensive plan amendment to change the RS-72 to rezone to a RM-18, which is similar to the adjacent the Kitty Corner property there, adjacent also to BC. The only change that's being made, it was brought up at discussion September 14th, LUTC, brought up again at October 6th meeting for discussion, was first read on October 20th and was postponed. The applicants wish to change this to make it a better proposal by adding this leg to the south of the original proposal so that it would also be 7.2. It would make it a better proposal because this RS-72 would not be hanging out here, connected here, and it does not change the proposal. It doesn't change any of the determinations or anything else that was brought up before you. Mayor recommends approval of the amended proposal, and I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, council, any questions? Let me questions, council? All right, first I want to say thank you, Doc. All right, is there public comment?
I don't have anybody signed up for public comment, Mayor.
Okay, would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 797, Comprehensive Plan Amendment Rezone, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington, amending the Federal Way Comprehensive Plan Map, and Zoning Map, and approving a Citizen Initiative Comprehensive Plan Map and Zoning Map Amendment and Legislative Rezone of 5.48 acres located east of Pacific Highway and south of the Redondo Heights Park and Ride, parcels 720-480-0172, 720-480-0174, and 720-480-0165 from high density residential RS 7.2 to multiple family MF 1800. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Brusso, do you have a motion?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the January 19th, 2021 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Second.
Or second. All right, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passed unanimously. Thank you very much. And thanks again, Doc. Okay, now we've got council reports. It's the first meeting of the month, so we'll start at our normal position number one, Council Member Asefa Dawson.
Yes, thank you so much, Mayor. I can't believe we're ending so soon. I don't have anything to report on, but to say happy birthday to Tim. Thank you for all the work that you do, and we really, really appreciate you. And I really enjoy working with him on LTAC. So that ends my report. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Councilmember Baruso.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Echo Councilmember Asefa Dawson. Tim, hardest working man, like the mayor says, happy birthday. But I also want to wish everyone Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a great holidays. And for my public service announcement, if you get a chance to get the vaccine, please do. So we could eradicate this pandemic that's going. And like President Honda said, we will have a better 2021. So thank you.
Here. Councilmember Tran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy birthday, Mr. Johnson. And I also want to wish everybody happier and healthier 2021. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Kraft.
Happy birthday, Tim. Happy New Year, everyone. And Happy New Year for those who are going to be celebrating the next New Year coming up. I just want to say, if you didn't see the news, there, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, there are some people calling people up randomly and trying to scam them into getting to pay because of court fees. Please, report any suspicious activity. The King County court system won't be calling you up to make any payments unless you they wouldn't be calling you generally. They'll be sending you an official email, or not email, but official mail. So please just be vigilant, and Happy New Year, everyone, and happy birthday, Tim.
Here. Thank you. All right. And Councilmember Moore.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. You know, where does one begin? With the new year begins new opportunities, and I'm really excited about this year. I believe that most people are optimistic and feeling hopeful for the 2020 year, and certainly my greatest hope is that people continue to stay healthy and vigilant about just making the best decisions for their families based off of what our experts are advising and saying. So with that, I think one of the other things I'm looking forward to are just really more of a detailed and elaborate discussions that have taken place from today. I mean, what a great first meeting. And I think having a South County entity of advocating for issues, especially when it comes to housing, I think is something that's been sorely missing. I think one of the things I'm going to be focused on this year is creating opportunities, whether it's through for our youth, working families. I'm going to be focused on just that and continue to keep our community safe. I know that I'm very pleased that we've added in the budget for 3 more police officers, and I know that we'll continue to support our police but at the same time also look forward to understanding the needs of this community as well when it comes to public safety. So lots of areas to focus on and work on. I feel like, and I'm hoping that this year's 2021 word is going to be jobs. So I think that is extremely important that we're focused on different methods, different ways of just creating jobs right here in Federal Way and this vicinity. So I really love to paint the plow, Mr. Mayor. I thought that was an awesome idea. Art is very important, and getting our youth engaged in that capacity is just so many awesome lessons come from that. So I just was really pleased to see that. I appreciated Clive's comments when it comes to indoor skating park. I'm very curious about that. I do think that that's is something that can be discussed or whatnot. So there's possibilities all around us, and it just like Council President Honda said earlier, it's just about coming together and working together. So with that, I will end my report by singing happy birthday. So here I go. Never mind. Happy birthday, Mr. Johnson. Take care, and thanks so much, Mr. Mayor.
You're singing it in your heart. Exactly. All right, Councilmember Kushmar.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Moore, for not singing. I appreciate that. I join my colleagues in saying, with all the best wishes for everyone. I really did appreciate all of the information we received last night at Land Use from Brian Davis and Doc Hansen. And I'm very enthused that we're going to be able to have some real input into what our downtown is going to look like. Most citizens don't understand how zoning will affect where they live. That the comprehensive plan is actually a diagram, a picture that a developer will get to understand how high he can build a building, where he can put his building. And so a lot of issues to be discussed at a work session. And I'm really excited to have a federal lobbyist so we can move forward with the new Biden presidency to see where we can go with our city. There should be money, I believe, in the federal government for communities that are a little more disadvantaged, which, by the way, I think our community may be one of those, although we're a very strong community. We have beautiful views of the Sound. We just have to make the best use of what we have and have a really strong, unified presence when it comes to regionally making sure that we get our share of the pie. So anyway, thank you. And by the way, Mayor, my one of my daughters, granddaughters, a few years back was a second in wrestling in the state.
I remember. I remember that.
Okay. Take care.
Very good. All right. Council President Honda.
That's where Councilmember Kochmar learned how to wrestle.
That's right. The old headlock.
Before I forget, happy birthday, Tim Johnson. I hope you've had a wonderful day. And we're, as our gift to you, we are going to be done very shortly as soon as I'm done talking. So happy birthday. You get done early tonight. I'd like to thank Councilmember Asefa Dawson for her help this weekend. I didn't realize she was out of town and on I don't want to say vacation, but she was out of town seeing her children, and I interrupted that. But thank you very much for your help. I appreciate it. I didn't know who else to turn to. And she was able to help a citizen over the weekend with some issues. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Happy New Year to everyone and to our citizens and our residents and our business owners and everyone in our city. This is going to be a better year, a healthier year. And we are just excited that 2020 is over and 2021 is here, and the future is very bright. So I missed everyone. I'm glad to be back, and Happy New Year.
You're here. Great meeting, everyone. I'm
Mr.
proud
Mayor?
and honored. Oh, yes. Councilmember
I
Moore.
understand it was Chief Andy Juan's birthday yesterday, based on my notes. So I just wanted to do a little fair shout out to him as well. So
Happy
thank
birthday,
you.
Chief.
Happy
birthday.
There you go.
Chief.
Happy birthday.
You
Am I missing any other birthdays?
You're gonna sing?
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Okay, you guys, great meeting, Council. Appreciate it. We got a lot done. I'm honored and proud to serve with each and every one of you. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
We are adjourned.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.